Hey, it's Nick Frick. I'm excited to talk to you today about how the old way of job searching is not working anymore, and I'm going to tell you why and how to do it differently. So, I'm Nick Frick, and the future author of How to Get Any Job You Want. I'm a career coach for moms and for people who are really just interested in making sure that the next job that they take isn't the shitty one that they had before and learning how to do that. And so, the thing that's different and the old way of finding a job is just outdated. So, the way we used to find jobs is just making a resume, sending it off, and first of all, we decide that we want a job, so we write a resume, we send it everywhere, and then we wait, right? And that's not really how it works. And it didn't work for a while, but now it's definitely taking. If you think about how the job search has multiple pieces, I like to speak about how there's feminine sides of the job search and masculine sides of the job search. The masculine, you're very, very, very familiar, I promise, with the masculine parts of a job search. They're write a resume, update your LinkedIn, negotiate, interview, like all the process things. Like if I think about feminine and masculine, feminine is the coffee inside of a cup, and the masculine is the cup of the cup. And so you can't have a cup of coffee without both the masculine, the cup, and the coffee. Otherwise, you would have either just a cup or you'd have coffee spilled everywhere. And we don't want that, right? So in the job search, the masculine is the structure around it, the strategy, the doing of it. And the feminine is the stepping away, the collaboration, the juiciness of like, what do I actually even want in my new job? And how can it be the next level in the career path that I'm making, rather than just a repeat of the traumas that I was experiencing my last role, or me taking the same job over and over because my resume hasn't changed, or because I'm afraid of speaking about, or even just like some of my clients who want to change industries, like being able to admit you want to change industries despite not having the right experience yet. But when you work with a coach, or when you work with someone who can see the storytelling that you're doing, it's much easier for us to see like the through line. If you think about when you look back on your life, imagine looking back on your life and seeing everything that you've done, where you've lived, who has helped you, the traumas that you've been through, both big T and little t. Like it all makes sense to where you are right now. Like if you've been calling it in, basically, like this makes sense why I live here now. This is how much debt I'm in. This makes sense. But when we're in the middle of it, when we're laid off, when the rug's pulled out from under us, when we have a new child, like none of it really makes sense because we haven't had enough distance from it. So just remember that when you want to take a big leap and find a new job, and it might be out of the industry that you're doing, or it's a brand new role, that it may not make sense right now, but I can tell you it will make sense in the future. And that's what I love doing as a coach, which is to help you hold the vision and collect the data that you already have to help you get to where you want to be. And so the old way of finding a job right now is not working. That's very masculine, as I was mentioning. So it's rushing to get a new resume and sending it out, and then waiting and waiting and waiting for either rejections, sending out 100 resumes. That's just not like a great way to do it. And so what I highly recommend instead is slowing down. And oftentimes it does feel like the rug's been pulled out from under us, and we're like, oh fuck, I got laid off, or this job, as much as I thought I could stay here, like it actually has become much more toxic than I thought it was going to be, sooner than I thought it was going to be. So I really got to leave. And those are times when it's important to recognize that the priority then is probably money, right? It's probably something to get you to feel stable. Maybe it's like a bridge job, or making sure that you have enough funds in a savings or in your stock to sell if you have stock from a tech company. But what I want you to recognize is that if you don't feel that nervous system shake, like if you feel like you have a little bit of patience and a little bit of time to take the time, it's really a ripe time when you haven't gotten to the point in your job where you know that you're starting to outgrow it. You're like starting to be kind of bored, but there's like nothing wrong with it. You're just like, I'm lucky to have, like someone said to me this week, the job's okay. I'm lucky to have it considering the current economic situation. And I want to use like the sacred and here. Yes, you're lucky. You can both be lucky to have a job right now, considering the current economic status. And you can not like your job, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to love your job because you're afraid of getting laid off and other people around you are getting laid off and everyone's talking about a recession and everyone's talking about this, that, and this and this. You don't have to get pulled into that. What I want you to do is stay stable in who you are. Yes, I'm making money right now. Yes, I have a stable job. And as we've seen in the past couple of years, these jobs that we thought were stable are not. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that to just like make you think a little bit. We've had a lot of time during the pandemic to become a little bit more internal, checking in on the inside of ourselves, of like what's important to us and like how do we want to show up now? How do we want to get support? How do we know that like we actually do need a village to help us get through this, whether we're a parent or a person. And remembering that it takes to make the job search go in a way that I think you'll love is to add more feminine. So some of the feminine ways that you can add to your job search are not feeling guilty when you're not doing job search stuff, right? Like having a strategy in place where you know you're adding or like doing the needle movers, right? That's like networking, informational interviews, practicing your interview questions or answers to questions. The needle movers are those like building up your suite of skills, right? So not even skills, building up your network, but and also like collaboration, making time for yourself and taking good care of yourself. And then taking also like a reverse magnifying glass, like taking a step back to look at the bigger picture of things. Like, what are the feelings you want to be feeling in your next job? What are the responsibilities you want to have? How do you want to feel when you wake up? And knowing that the way to make your resume, to create a resume that's easier to create, is to know exactly what you want. And a lot of times we think our resume is hard to do. And that's a lot of times because it's either going to give us the same exact job that it was before, or we're trying to get something new and that resume doesn't reflect it. Or we just know so much about ourselves that like putting it on a resume doesn't make sense. So making sure that you get support in writing that resume and like pulling out the right things. And if you're interested, I have a resume template that if you message me, I can send it to you to share with you how to do that and get it to the front of the line. But what we're talking about today is adding the feminine, adding more feminine, which as a core wound of people in the Western culture, unworthiness is part of that. And that means no matter what you're doing, you likely are feeling like you can't do the thing that you want to do. And that happens for a lot of us. And it's really the work that we need to do. And so what I want to say here during this thing is that the old way of finding a job, which is structure, we do need the structure actually, which is like hustle, do this, do that, only focus on the things that you can see. I want you to pull back and invite you to do more of the things that are invisible. So the inner work that you need to do, the shadow work, the boundaries work. And if you have questions about this, I am writing about all of these things in my book right now in how to get any job you want and love it. So the book will help you get any job you want. And if you follow the pieces that are the more feminine piece, it'll help you it will really teach you how to love it too. So I'm super excited about this book, and it's really talking us out of the old way of finding a job and into the newer, more holistic way of finding a job, which is remembering that you are part of a whole ecosystem. And that's not just like the ecosystem of yourself, the ecosystem that yourself as an ecosystem, like you are a body and a mind and a spirit, and the ecosystem in relationship with other people, as well as the relationship in the whole entire world. And so making sure that when you are looking for your next career or job change, that you're taking that into consideration, right? Like you spend more time at work than you likely do with any other person in your life, right? Even like I'm married to this amazing man, but his job sees him more than I do, right? Yeah, That's insane. So make sure that what you're doing is great for you and your life and the life that you want to create and the family you want to build and the world you want to make. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm super happy to talk to you. Let me know if you want to grab my book or that resume template I mentioned. Otherwise, have a great afternoon and a good weekend. Talk to you soon.